What if the secret to weight loss was just eating half a grapefruit for breakfast every single day? Why grapefruits? Diet culture in the 1960s to 1970s America. This question reveals more than just a food trend. It exposes how diet culture in this period was shaped less by scientific understanding and more by media influence, gender expectations, and consumer marketing. This video argues that grapefruit became central to weight loss diets not because of proven health benefits, but because fashion magazines and advertisers promoted it as a fat-burning food to sell both products and ideals, reflecting a broader culture that equated thinness with health and femininity. The association between grapefruit and dieting began earlier, in the 1930s, with the so-called Hollywood diet. This diet claimed that grapefruit had special fat-burning enzymes, an idea unsupported by scientific evidence. However, its simplicity and affordability helped it spread, especially during the Great Depression. By the mid-20th century, this earlier association laid the foundation for grapefruit's reappearance in a new context, mass media-driven diet culture. To understand why grapefruit became so prominent in the 1960s and 1970s, it is necessary to analyze primary sources from this period, particularly diet features published in the Vogue magazine. For example, this is a summer diet published in 1974. Day 3, it mentions grapefruit for breakfast and lunch, which is extremely common for the time. Another example is a 7-day natural diet. They actually have grapefruit twice a week in this diet. One of the most mind-boggling diets that can be found is actually the psychological diet, where every single day of the week you would have half a grapefruit for breakfast. That would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You have half a grapefruit that you have to consume for this diet to work. These sources repeatedly include grapefruit as part of a structured meal plan, often positioning it as essential to weight loss. A close reading of these articles reveals how grapefruit was framed. The language used in these diet plans frequently includes terms such as fat burning, metabolism boost, and low calorie, presenting grapefruit as a functional, almost medicinal food. You can see this not only in diets but also in advertisements directly correlated to the fruit. This language is significant because it mimics scientific authority without providing any practical evidence. It reflects a broader trend in diet culture where foods were assigned exaggerated health benefits in order to appeal to consumers. Rather than offering balanced nutritional guidance, these sources simplify weight loss into the consumption of specific good foods, like grapefruit. Understanding why these sources were produced requires examining their intended audience. Vogue magazine was and remains primarily targeted at women, particularly those interested in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. The inclusion of diet plans within these publications suggests that food was being linked directly to their appearance. Thinness was not simply presented as a health goal, but it was presented as a beauty standard that women must obtain. The purpose of these articles, therefore, was not purely informational. They function as a form of advertising, both for the magazine itself and for the broader consumer culture built around dieting, beauty products, and self-improvement. In this context, grapefruit became a convenience symbol, inexpensive, visually appealing, and easy to market as part of a disciplined lifestyle. Specific to visuals, grapefruits were often photographed in advertisements looking like breasts, a direct link to femininity, thus reinforcing the dieting standard. While these Vogue articles are valuable, they also have important limitations as historical evidence. First, they do not reflect scientific consensus. Nutritional science in the 1960s and 70s was still developing, and many claims about metabolism and fat burning were not well understood. Second, these sources present a specific perspective, that of a middle and upper class woman who consumed fashion media. They do not necessarily reflect the experiences or belief of all Americans. Finally, because these articles were produced within a commercial context, they are inherently biased. Their goal was to attract readers and reinforce consumer behavior, not to provide objective health information. Secondary sources may place these primary materials into a broader historical context. According to the Gale Encyclopedia of Diets, the expansion of fad diets in the mid-20th century was closely tied to the growth of mass media and consumer culture, which promoted unrealistic body ideas and quick-fix solutions. We can see this directly correlating with Hollywood and the music scene. Historians of food and culture have similarly argued that dieting trends during this period have reflected anxieties about modern life, gender roles, and bodily control. This context helps explain why grapefruit, despite lacking scientific backing, became so widely accepted as a diet food. The normalization of grapefruit diet extended beyond just print media. Its popularity led to the production of specialized utensils that became staples in every household. These are the grapefruit spoons and knives, which were marketed as essential tools for the proper consumption of the fruit. This demonstrates how deeply diet culture had become embedded in everyday life. Eating was no longer just about sustenance. It was similar to a performance of discipline and self-control. Ultimately, the rise of grapefruit as a diet food in the 1960s and 70s reveals a great deal about the period. It shows that health benefits were shaped less by scientific evidence and more by media influence, marketing strategies, and social expectations, especially those that were placed on women. By analyzing Vogue magazine as a primary source, it becomes clear that grapefruit's popularity was constructed through language, imagery, and repetition, rather than proven effectiveness. The grapefruit diet then was not just a trend. It was a reflection of a culture that equated thinness with health and used food as a tool to enforce that ideal on women.